une spiritualité reliée au vivant. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Eco Spirituality Summit. Today, I'm so thrilled because I really don't know if there's a better word to receive Ayla Schafer to speak about lots of amazing things, but like the general topic will be music to seek harmony with the earth. And so, Ayla, I would like to invite you first to, well, introduce you because maybe people don't really know you, and to tell us a bit about how you got where you are now with the lens of eco-spirituality. Like, what was your eco-spiritual journey that brought you to the amazing music you are gifting us with today, and yeah, the beauty you're creating on this earth.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you for inviting me to be here, for your lovely introduction. And yeah, so for those who don't know me, I'm Ayla, and it's always an interesting one to answer these questions of where did a journey begin, how did it begin, and when did it begin, and where did it begin? Because I guess I see life as a bit more mysterious than that probably it began when I was born, really. Everything, all the experiences and all the things that shaped my journey to find my way and to be here now and to be part of this summit, somehow speaking about this world of eco-spirituality. But I guess I can say I have memories already from being a young, probably a child, and already having some kind of sense of knowing that I loved nature, that I loved to be in nature. You know, obviously in the child's mentality, it didn't have anything more than that. Simply like, that's where I wanted to be. That's where I would feel good. That's how I wanted to play. Just wanted to be free and wild and covered in mud and take my clothes off and go running in the rain. You know, I remember doing that a lot as a child. But more kind of tangibly, I guess for me, there was a time in my life when I was about 21, I went away traveling, not for the first time, but it was the biggest, it was the first step that I'd taken that was kind of more in a consciously opening myself up to really want to know more about something that I could sense, but I didn't understand. The world of the invisible, or the world of spirituality, or the world of being connected to something greater than myself. It's like I had a thirst. I was thirsty, but I hadn't like held it in my hand so consciously yet, so I didn't know what for. And at that age, I went to Mexico. I ended up being away for 2 years, traveling in Mexico and in Peru, and encountering, this was really the first time in my life I was encountering and having amazing, beautiful experiences, very powerful experiences with native peoples, and also with their cultures, not always with the indigenous people directly, but the indigenous cultures being more alive there somehow than in Europe, even though they have experienced over there the same kind of atrocities. Something was kept alive. There was a thread that didn't get completely kind of buried underground. And this was just a very expansive time for me. Alongside doing that, I was also, for about 9 months of that time, I was traveling with horses in a group where we were traveling on the horses and then living with them. We would rest and live in the fields with them and wash in the rivers with them, and just this totally wild, really, it was like going back to the wild roots of myself. I was like an animal, like the horses. So I was having this amazing journey of kind of, in some ways, like experiencing, I did yoga for the first time there. I went really deep into yoga and meditation for many, many months, was just kind of exploring that realm of spirituality, of consciousness, of energy. And working with traditions, those kind of the spiritual lineages of the like earth traditions, you know, earth spirit, eco spirituality, actually, you could say. And then combined with a kind of very raw, just primal, like primitive, cooking on the fire all the time, sleeping on the earth every single night under the stars, owning almost nothing. I think I even lost my shoes at some point. Yeah, and from that time, that was a real pivotal. My life, I can see, has been carved very, very profoundly from what I experienced then, what I understood from myself, within myself and externally, and kind of began to witness and experience directly a sense of being connected to a greater web and to greater forces, and the greater forces of the earth, and my connection with her, really feeling this and living this. And I continue from there. I guess I continue to follow these threads that I kind of began to weave together then.
And how did the music join the whole story?
How can the music? So the music was already, it was always a significant part of my life. Same, like since a child, singing was a place I could kind of, somehow I just felt better when I did it. You know, when things were crazy in my house or there was people fighting as a child, I just remember like singing Disney songs, just singing my heart out, you know, really like making noise, moving things, moving my emotions. And then from about 16 years old, I started writing my own songs, playing the guitar, and really giving myself to that process, because it was a place of real, it was a place of refuge for me from my home life, and also from the confusions of being a young woman and the world and everything. You know, it was a place I could understand things, I could feel things, I could process things. I just felt more peace when I was singing. Somehow things would feel okay. And then when I went on this journey, I actually had kind of taken a very clear step back from music, or from sharing music. At that point, I didn't know where else to share it other than like you know, bars and places like that. Which was heartbreaking. It was just so self-destructive. So I really took a step back and allowed something to die. Then I went on this big journey, and it was just so immediately apparent that music was anyway a part of everything there that I was experiencing. These traditions, the ceremonies, the rituals, these cultures, music was there. I tried to kind of run away from my own music, and then I stepped into a whole world of where music was something, it was just part of being alive. It was just like a given part of human life and human expression, and people being together, and used as a tool for prayer, for singing, for bringing us together, for invoking, for healing. And from this time, I rekindled my own personal relationship with my music, bringing this amazing, immense inspiration, which I still have, for how music is part of our humanness. It's what we're here to make sound, to experience music, because the creation is, on some level, it's music, it's vibration, it's like a language of the universe. Even animals, you know, I've had amazing experience of singing sometimes of animals and going, clearly this animal is responding to the music. You know, my mum puts like classical music on when there's fireworks, to calm her dogs down, and she says it works. So music, yeah, I guess it's a central, like these threads I spoke about, it's a central thread, a central part of the braid of who I am, of my life path, of that which has inspired me, and that's that which I follows, that's which I follow.
Mm. Ah, I love it. I love stories. And it's already so rich. As I was preparing for the interview, I a question came to my mind, and it was, so we chose the title "Music to Seed Harmony with the Earth," and I would like to know, like, what has music taught you about harmony? Because music is about harmony, and how maybe music has, yeah, taught you about harmony in the earth, or is it the other way around, or how, yeah, what have the teachings and learnings been in this journey around harmony?
What has music taught me about harmony? I guess I would start with, for me, music is a harmonizer inside of myself, if that makes sense. It teaches me about harmony within my own being, and that's, you know, very much on a emotional, very human, kind of very human emotional experience. That whether it's making music myself, writing my songs, listening to music from whatever culture it can be, I follow the sounds that make me feel connected to the harmony within myself. Unconsciously, actually. And I think we all do, more or less. You know, maybe it's a bit complicated. We start thinking about it, but more or less, if you ask people like, okay, so what's your favorite music? And they say, oh, I love listening to this. Okay, but why? How do you know you love listening? What is it inside of us that knows I love that music or I don't like that music? Like, it's so instinctive. It's a bit like food, you know, people, you just know. It's not like, oh, I'm not sure, I can't quite tell. It's like, no, I don't like it, I like it. And mostly, there may be some people who don't feel like this, but I do believe that most people are following some kind of sense of a response that is bringing a sense of harmony, or it might have a different word, joy or calm or peace. So music, I go to music for this feeling, for this place of harmony, and ultimately I see that is a place that's within my own being. Actually, it's not, it can be that harmony around us can support harmony within us to a certain extent, but ultimately it's like kindling that which exists within ourselves. Because if there's not harmony within us, doesn't matter what's happening outside, we cannot make harmony happen. But it is something that can be nourished like a little fire, like tending and tending. And at the same time, it's like, to be able to feel harmony, we have to also be able to meet that which is not in harmony within us. It's like resonance. Like, okay, we just have resonance with a certain kind of music, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not, that music, that resonance might make us, help us to feel that which is not in resonance. And like this, I can absolutely say my experience still with, especially with writing my own music, it's a real process of touching upon that which is not resonance, and somehow using sound itself to bring it back into resonance. You're meeting all the places in me which are being challenged, or the pain or the sadness or the confusion, or those processes within, that music has this amazing way to kind of, it's like a massage, it's like a vibration massage. And it doesn't mean it just fixes everything and everything is healed in an instant. No, but it's a support. It's a kind of, okay, I have something I'm working with, that I can move with this. And then just with this question, I also felt to say, So there's this kind of very internal, personal, emotional part of it. And then there's also like the energy of harmony that exists in this universe, whether it's whatever I don't even want to give it a name because I don't know. I don't think it has a name. It's just, we know that it exists, otherwise there wouldn't be a word for it. We wouldn't have a word for harmony if harmony wasn't something that exists. So what is this thing that exists? Somehow it's an energy. It's some energy, some resonance. It's like a note. It's like a color. And for me, music has this amazing way of taking me profoundly into myself and to my, like, the truth within me, which I do believe ultimately that the source of ourselves, of who we truly are, is something untouchable, is a peace, is harmony, is pure. It's like a baby, you know, how we are, just pure in our soul, in our essence. So music can help us go through these layers of our mind and our humanness to encounter and rest more deeply in that truth, and at the same time this same process but kind of externally, so connecting with this energy on a vast level that exists, this mysterious force, and also kind of down. It's like multi-directional. You know, this down and to the harmony of the earth. And in terms of my kind of path with what we may say eco-spirituality, for me the earth is my other greatest refuge. Great, like, and there's a connection there with music, because I find I can speak with the earth, with the land, with this very tangible, you know, the water, the elements, the sky. I can speak more clearly with my song and with sound, and sometimes in silence and sometimes with words, but with intention, consciously connecting to this earth that we are part of. And you could say it is the harmony that we're connecting to, or connecting to her helps us connect to the harmony within. It's like, I think it's all and everything. It's not one or the other. That makes sense.
Yes, totally. And also, like, when this summit has like, in it's producing lots of hours listening to your music.
Oh.
And so, like, maybe like my experience, like, because when I was thinking about the interview, I was like, yeah, actually, when do I go to your songs to listen your songs? It's all the moments when I feel disconnected, and, you know, when I feel a bit like I'm a bit lost and I need to find my way back to myself, to my way back to the earth and my connection with the earth. And that's really, like, to me, the medicine also of your music. It's like, yeah, harmonizing and bringing myself together back. And I'm just clicking now, like, in fact, when I look back, I really go to your music when I'm looking for, like, also, you know, rooting down, because it just carries, I don't know how magically, but just carries, like, nature and the harmony and the peace also that comes from, you know, when you look at the natural place, even if it's disrupted by humans, but nature seems to find its way back to balance and harmony, like, all the time. And so, yeah, so it's more, I felt, so I what you say, I really can feel it in my body, because when I listen to the music, that's what happens in my body, and harmonizing me inside, and also harmonizing me with the earth and like the greater web of life, and all that's happening around.
Oh, that's beautiful to hear.
Yes, well, I'm a big fan of your music.
Hmm.
It's I don't even remember how it came into my life, but like I remember like then from that moment it never left, and I'm always like, oh, listening, and I have one some of my favorites. I go back all the time, but sometimes I just put on Spotify the playlist and just let it run. So uh, listening to what you shared, like another question arose for me is how, so you already touched a bit on it, but how did you find your voice? Like how like what's the process of finding your voice, or do you today feel like you have found your voice, or do you feel there is still some evolution happening, there is some growing, there is some, you know, like the tree grows other branches, so
Hmm.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like I am still and will always be finding my voice, or sometimes I feel it's like my voice is finding me. You know, if it's like, or maybe that's not even quite the right way to say it. It's like the voice is already there. It's a bit like this soul essence or something. Like it's already there. We our fullness of who we are, whether it be our voice. I mean, our voice is so intimately connected to the depth and the essence of who we are. So it is really talking about the same thing. And this is the beauty of the voice, is this journey of what we might call finding the voice is such a deep journey just within ourself. Of I see it more like revealing instead of finding, because finding would be like, you know, finding something that's out there. It's more like revealing the layers and the blocks and the stories, and like digging it out of the earth within our own being. And that's I guess when I began to realize that, it came this sense of allowing something, a process of kind of a bit like a flower. Like a flower doesn't like find its blossom, like it just opens and allows itself to be actually who it is and what it came here to be. And this I see is such the journey of the voice, this softening into allowing. Like the more I have been able to accept myself, be more gentle with myself, stop trying, and this is a massive one, like my voice has changed so much over the years, and it still continues to change, and I'm sure it will forever continue to change, in the same way that I don't think, I mean, I haven't got to the end of my life yet, but I don't think we like one day go, oh, I'm me, like this is it, like I finished, I don't, nothing else, I'm not going to change. Like maybe a little bit, but not really. It's still like, oh wow, yeah, okay, this is me now. We can have a sense of more who we are, but sure, you know, life is going to bring us whatever experience it's going to bring us, and we're going to learn and we're going to change and we're going to grow. Like that tree is a really beautiful expression, actually. Like a tree is a tree, or a flower is a flower. It is who it is, and yet it's still going to grow, and every blossom is going to be different, and some days it will drop its leaves and another day it will grow more branches. And the voice is really, really like this. It's a surrender, a journey of surrendering, really, and being open and curious without judgment of what will come out and who will come out and how it might sound and what is it saying and how it sounds on those days when it's like not working or doesn't sound so nice. Oh wow, thank you so much, you're actually communicating, showing me something that is within myself, or how I am on that day, or something to work with, or yeah, surrendering. It's like a river, it carries us.
Mm. I love that. And so I'm the kind of like curious person. I like to speak about real life. I like to speak about like all the things that flow and are like magical, and also the challenges and the growth and so my question to you would be, if you're open to sharing, of course, or what you want to share, like in your whole process with music and becoming really a vessel for the music, and like maybe that's me, but that's what I perceive is also becoming a vessel for the harmony of nature and the earth and yeah, and the web of life, and so like maybe even harmonious relationship with the earth. What has been your like biggest challenge?
Hmm.
Or maybe still is?
Yeah, it probably still is. It's difficult for me to say like the number one. So probably as I speak, there might be a few the challenges, the big challenges, because I can feel that there's a few elements to it. One of the main things that comes to me is simply the challenge of being alive on the earth in this time, and what it takes, what it asks of those of us who are willing to really open our eyes and not only see the vast immense of suffering and destruction. I mean, it's actually impossible to open the eyes to all of it. It's just, I think we just would fall over and die. It's too painful. One thing is to open up our eyes and see it, and the other thing is like, can I even just feel the pain? It's just, in some, in one way of looking at it, you can go like, it's a horror movie out there. This is like a night. It's just a nightmare. There are days where, yeah, it's this challenge of like, can I keep the faith? Can I trust? Can I keep the inspiration? Can I believe that harmony is possible on this earth? Like really, for everybody, for all the relations, all animals, all plants, all the elements, all beings. Like, can I believe in this? That harmony is possible, because it's very easy to lose faith in anything. I guess I think anyone listening to this will know that place. And now there begins to be, it's interesting, this is being kind of more recognized, and there's like names, there's certain names that are being used, like what are they saying now? Climate grief. Are they just calling it climate grief? It's being recognized. Actually, it's really a huge challenge to wake up, which is necessary. Like, we're not going to make it if we don't start waking up. But the step of waking up and then being kind of crushed by the weight that feels so heavy. I guess this is one of the most biggest challenges, not just for me, but for every single being that is alive, and for the children yet to come, to see our children, for me to look at my child and be like, wow, this is the world that we are handing him, and it's my responsibility as much as it's anyone else's responsibility to take care of what we give to our children. What's that beautiful phrase? Our children don't inherit the earth from us. We borrow it from them, or something like that. I haven't got it exactly right.
Yes.
So there's this immense work of finding how we can strengthen our sense of inner balance, and I guess you could also say harmony, this word being a theme of our conversation, our faith, our strength, that we are able just individually to walk our life in a good way, in a harmonious way, that we at least can take care of us and our surroundings and our effects, and that whether that be our relations, our friendships, our that harmony with one another, but really taking a look at how we walk our lives. How can I do this with more harmony and grace, particularly in in the impact that I am having upon the earth, with my greater home that I am part of. This is a huge challenge. This is a huge, huge challenge.
Mm.
And then let alone from kind of, like the bigger story, the collective stuff that we hold and open our eyes to. There is, of course, each individual's challenge of what we receive in life and how that impacts us, the trauma, our childhood stuff, whatever it is that happens to us. I mean, I don't think there's really many people, there's very few people who would say they haven't experienced trauma, and even they probably have experienced some level of trauma. But the stories, the reality of what is happening in our homes, with our children, in our family constellations, this is so deep. And I personally, I come from not a very unharmonious household, childhood, and living with unraveling the impacts of that. I would say this is another one of the great challenges, because so easily I can see I can slip into basically all my disharmony, my kind of trauma patterns and dysfunction, and then I'm just, not really, it's like I can't walk straight or something, like ooh, falling and slipping. And yet at the same time, to say that, what I would say, my traumas has also been, it's because of that I have been so kind of devoted and dedicated to seeking some sense of harmony within myself and externally. So it's this funny thing. It's also on a global level, both ways, like the extreme disharmony that can exist within us and externally. It creates this need for, like, whoa, we've been pulled over here, like this need to really put our dedication, our life, our energy, our focus, our motivation, our inspiration, our resources, everything we have into reharmonizing, rebalancing. And this we see on personal levels and on a global level. There's more and more of amazing things happening, kind of counterbalance, the counter movement to the destruction. And I guess when we see it like that, that's it. It gives a lot of it's like, okay, we use that as fuel. Like, we use all the suffering and all the horror and all the things that we wish weren't like that. Like, okay, we can't just make it disappear and vanish in a second, but we can somehow use that to turn itself around within ourselves, and also in the amazing movements that are happening.
Yeah, I love this idea of using it as fuel. That's what I try to do a lot, because when I see all the horror stories, I once told my therapist, like, it feels like Earth is a battlefield, like it's constant war. And so, yeah, how instead of, because it's really heavy, and it's so true, and our own stories and the world story, and so how can we, turn it into fuel to like for our hearts to run with passion. And I find that a really that's at least what gives me hope, is that day I understood, okay, I can turn my shock and my overwhelm into fuel for like creating summits like this one, or everything I do in the voice of Gaia. Like, how can I, instead of, like, okay, there are days it's too heavy and I just crash, and other days, how can I use it to transmute it, or maybe transform it into harmony, love, connection.
Yeah, and those days that we're crushed, I've also learned to just kind of go, okay, like because there's the path of softness and gentleness within that. It's like to be this warrior all the time and like I use it all as fuel and I'm just going to keep going. Like, actually, this is kind of, in essence, one of the energies that has created the great circumstance that we're in on this earth altogether. You know, this kind of pushing through and ignoring and not going with our cycles. Like, the days when we're just like, actually, today I'm just going to cry all day, and maybe it's just crying about like the whales or something. I had a day like that. It was just one day that was all about the whales, and it's like, I can't even think about the rest of the world. Like, just the whales today is breaking my heart. Somehow I really believe they're really necessary, and that we are actually transforming something and healing something on another level, on another dimension, that it may not be kind of direct action, but I really believe like these tears, the grief, this process of grieving for the earth, for our children, for one another, for the waters, whatever it is that we're grieving, that there's like an alchemical power of transformation there that we can't necessarily understand, but we're being called, we are being asked to grieve. And I think many people have felt this. When we really connect with the earth, this huge grief, this is like one of the first things that come. There can be peace, there can be like the bliss, but it's like, is it her grief? Is it my grief? Is it everybody's grief? There's something there that needs to be moved. It cannot be frozen. It's like the waters, they need to flow, and in the same way that waters flow, there's cleanse, there's movement. It's moving. And if we don't learn to grieve, if we don't learn to feel, you know, this is one of the great fears of when we look at our men and women in power. I mean, they are like definitely not the most emotional beings. It's like, we need to feel the grief of the water before we have any inspiration to take care of the water. Otherwise we go, I don't care about the water, I don't feel anything for the water, I'm going to carry on polluting her and carrying on mistreating and chopping down the forest and whatever we're doing. This is really a key. So I guess I want to say this, and that, yeah, that inspiration for anyone who's listening, like, do we really allow with gentleness ourselves to go into the grief? And that doesn't mean falling in the black holes and staying there, which is also, you know, it's easy to do that because it's immense. And this is why we need one another. These beautiful movements of the grieving circles and grieving rituals of, really, we need our community and our sense of togetherness to not just fall in the black hole and get drown in it. Together we kind of keep moving, and then one slips and the others, you know, we kind of take our turns.
Yeah, such wisdom. Thank you so much. Oof, I see the time running by.
Does that, doesn't it?
Yes. So we are so lucky that you agreed to play a bit of music. So I hand it over again to you.
Okay, bear with me 1 second, I just will click.
Yes.
Just tell me if it goes weird. So that should sound. Yeah, somehow this song, it feels like it brings together many of the threads of our conversation. The great Mother Earth and our also very humanness and that connection, that journey together.
speak to me. I am listening. I am listening. I am listening. Grandmother, speak to me. I am the earth and the earth is singing. The water flows around this rock. The ancient ways I carry forth, the river carries me. Grandmother, speak
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's so
That's one of my favorite songs.
oh.
That's the one I can listen for hours.
Mm.
Mm. And it's it's amazing because you know the song I listen and then it has my stories now because I listen to this song at one moment in my life and another moment and now here and I'm like wow.
Mm.
And and it touches me like you know that's when I'm feeling really disconnected. That's the one I will listen to.
Mm.
Just brings me back
Mm.
to yeah to asking the earth her to tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
And also like the hope of as I'm healing the earth is healing too and
Mm.
so my journey of going back like revealing if I use yeah you used it like revealing
Mm.
myself more and more is the greatest gift I can ever offer.
Mhm.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
So is there any invitation, any project you want to share for the people who will listen to us in this summit? What's also I'm wondering what's the best way to support you as an artist? I know. Is it what's the best way? Because I know, well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it's not so easy to be an artist and to be a musician. And so, what's the best way to support you?
Um, I guess listening to my music or buying my music. But it's funny because actually my heart wants to just answer the best way to support me is to just feel the music, really, because that's what means more than how much money I get paid. It's really this mission that we're so many of us are on together, that what we give, what we create, what comes from our heart and from our soul purpose, that it can have some ripple in the world, have some good impact. And this is really, yeah, this is more that I would love to know, that my music can touch the hearts and inspire that to be passed on in whatever way, that it inspires people. But yeah, you can listen you can listen to me and buy my music, and in terms of letting people know, I mean, what I feel relevant to say, just speak about quickly, is that I have two themes of, it's what we spoke about a little bit before the interview, so it wasn't recorded, people didn't hear, but about eco spirituality, part of it being that we bring our kind of spirituality, wherever that means for us, that we like bring it through into the earth of our bodies and into the earth, into this planet and into action, that this bridge is created between the realms, bridge making. And something that I'm in the process still of kind of creating, because it's quite a complex thing, is something that's called Music Plants Trees. And it came with this vision that it was when there was a big fire in the Amazon a few years ago, and it came with this vision: what if just when we listen to music, or we buy music, or we buy a ticket to a music event or a festival, that automatically certain percentage of everything goes towards planting trees? Kind of had this like, oh, it's so simple and so obvious, and like, I don't think this is really happening, not on, like, people are doing it individually. So I'm in this process of creating this as a movement. It's called Music Plants Trees, and I'm in the process at the moment establishing it somehow as a, maybe it's its own company. It's all a bit complex, but people can look out for this. It's a concept, but it's a movement, and there will hopefully be artists other artists join, other organizers, festivals. Hopefully one day there'll be like massive, I don't know who the famous people are right now, like the big names, whoever they are, you know, they do it, because then imagine one ticket plants one tree, and you have these massive festivals where there's hundreds of thousands of people. That's like a huge forest there, just planted out of no one's, doesn't really cost anybody anything. So that's something that I'm, you know, slowly feeding, and I do that with my own work. I have certain songs that 100% of it goes towards planting trees, and every album you buy, you plant a tree. Every ticket to any of my events, a tree is planted. So I'm establishing that, and also dreaming up a tour next year that will be called Honor the Waters. So it's my other kind of, it's my other river of passion, of really taking care of the water, learning again to be guardians of the water, speak and listen to this amazing life-giving element, this spirit, this being, honoring the waters together.
Oof, I have chills
Yeah.
all over. Thank you so much for the blessing of your presence in this summit, and for joining your voice to the diverse voices of us all together, exploring what eco-spirituality can be, the many different ways it can be expressed. And I don't know if you ever, if you want a last, like it's a tradition in my summits, like the speakers always had the last word.
Anything, I can say anything.
Anything.
I think it's something, oh, the fly. There's something in me that I'd like to say about, when I was reflecting on what it meant for me, eco-spirituality, and exploring this actually was quite a new word for me. I began to realize more and more that, like, it's not about the word. It's actually, the word can in some ways be a distraction, because it can be, it's like, and sure, we need words, you know, it's good to have words, we need words because they are also doorways, but just this kind of like inviting us to remember that when we put something in a kind of box, in a category, there's something in our nature that we can kind of like go, oh, there's that, and then there's me, and then there's my connection to that thing. But actually, when I really go into it, eco-spirituality isn't this, it's not something, it's me, it's my nature, because I am the earth. And it's this that we can really, that this can get it, but more like that we can really remember that this whole journey we're on of kind of coming home to the earth is like coming home to this absolute deep knowing, which you see in nature traditions. They understand this, and this is not just mental, it's like in the bones, in every single cell of your being, that we are a part, in the same way like a flower is also the earth, or a tree. We kind of go, oh, it's nature out there, like, hello, we are exactly the same. And for me, that was really beautiful realization. I am eco-spirituality because I am the earth, I am nature, and this connection that I'm seeking, this coming home, this kind of sense of belonging, of belief, of faith, it is what we are. And I feel like when we can remember this and really feel it as individuals and as humanity, this is when we can really begin to change, because then it will be impossible for us to abuse the earth in the way that we do. We won't be able to, when we feel that sense of oneness, that oneness, that we are her, she is us.
Thank you.